Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. I'm wishing you all a triumphant Tuesday. And as always, if you are new to this channel and finding yourself on my videos for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because we drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest exactly within the crypto space, but also the broader markets. And that is exactly our aim in this video. We're going to be starting the video off with a huge win for the cryptocurrency space in regards to two lawyers being forced to resign for gross abuse of power in a cryptocurrency case. We're going to be starting the video off there. We're going to be looking at the reporting of this. On top of that, we heard from Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, that they actually filed their response to the SEC's demand of $2 billion for whatever it was they wanted the $2 billion for. The SEC is, and I've never seen this, and the SEC typically has an amazing track record, getting their behind handed to them when it comes to the cryptocurrency space because they are overreaching the power that has been granted to them by Congress, and that is a consistent theme that we are seeing. Alt season hasn't even really started yet, and I think that alt season, just like with Bitcoin, a lot of the narrative around Bitcoin is the kind of regulatory clarity and then the ETF. Alts are yet to go through that, and I do believe that they will. Are some cryptos perhaps securities? You could argue, but the vast majority, certainly the ones the SEC has gone zealously after, I do not believe are, and we're getting a lot of kind of confirmation of that. Then we're going to be looking at what the actual effect in regards to the cost to mine Bitcoin and what the implied value of Bitcoin might be as a result of the halving actually is. There's an interesting take that we're going to be taking a look at in regards to Bitcoin miner price that hit briefly 244,000. And it talks about the days of under 100K Bitcoin are very limited. Again, we know what drives the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory. We can look at that. Talk about the overall cryptocurrency market, and then we'll cross into sort of the broader markets. In regards to the earnings that we have, it's a big earning, kicking things off with the likes of General Electric, General Motors, Pepsi, Spotify, Tesla today, and then going and having a really sort of interesting week, Microsoft, all of these kind of earnings coming out this week. And then, of course, we've got PCs, which is the inflationary data. We know what, attach whatever narrative you want to it, really what's been going on with markets, because they're quite mechanical, is you've had fears around inflation that's been driving and kind of pricing out now interest rate cuts that's been driving the dollar, and that's been leaning on risk. And Bitcoin, we've overlaid Bitcoin on a 3x NASDAQ chart. It's just the highest beta kind of risk that there is. And altcoins are like, you know, extremely volatile. And that's the nature of the game that you're playing. But let's kick things off, as promised, with the news that we think is a huge win for the cryptocurrency space. So breaking: SEC lawyers forced to resign for gross abuse of power in a crypto case. Federal Judge Robert Shelby has sanctioned the SEC for gross abuse of power in handling the Debtbox crypto case, criticizing the agency's actions for undermining judicial integrity with false statements and misrepresentations. SEC lawyer Michael Welch and Joseph Watkins resign after being informed they would be fired over their handling of the case, which involves accusations of a $49 million fraud by Digital License Incorporated. So this is a massive win. The SEC typically have a very good win rate in regards to cases that they bring against people because they have basically an unlimited resource. You know, they're a government agency. So typically when they go after people, they end in settlements and in the SEC's favor and on the SEC's terms, because the SEC is the biggest bully in the room. It will basically say, look, we'll bankrupt you in you trying to fight this case. So your options are bankruptcy and you lose anyway, or you can lose, but we'll, make it not as bad as if we wipe the floor with you in regards to the kind of resources that they have. So this is really interesting. This is a huge win. This was actually reported by Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is a great, it's one of my favorite websites and news outlets to sort of follow along with. Gross abuse of power. 2 SEC lawyers resign after judges rebuke in anti-crypto case. In mid-March, a federal judge in Utah took the extremely unusual step of sanctioning the SEC, saying the regulatory abused its authority in a case against crypto platform Digital Licensing Incorporated, known as Debtbox. The SEC's conduct constitutes a gross abuse of power entrusted to it by Congress and substantially undermining the integrity of these proceedings and the judicial process. This was from Robert Shelby, a federal district court judge in Salt Lake City, said in an 80-page legal filing on Monday. Now, the really annoying thing is when the SEC get sanctioned, you guys pay the bill. So it's taxpayers' money that pays the sanction, not Gary Gensler's millions of dollars that he has from, who knows, people say he got that from Goldman Sachs in his days there. I would argue perhaps not the case. But anyway, that's for another video perhaps. So Brad Garlinghouse chiming in on this feels apropos that we file our response on the same day that 2 SEC lawyers resign for their misconduct in the Debtbox case. The US will be picking up the pieces of the agency's disastrous policies long-term after Gensler is gone. There was rumours, and I wonder if these are linked, that actually Gensler was thinking about resigning, or there was rumours he was going to resign. Brad maybe hinting at that, saying when he's gone. And obviously we've got news today that, or within the past 24 hours, that 2 SEC members are actually resigning. So maybe they're taking the fall for Gensler. Just to finish off on this news, you've got Stuart Adultery. Our position to the SEC's request for $2 billion in penalties for legacy institutional sales is now public. In a case that had no allegations or findings of recklessness or fraud, and in which Ripple won on significant issues, the SEC's ask is just more evidence of its ongoing intimidation against all of us, all of crypto in the US. We remain confident that the judge will approach this final remedy phase fairly. Now, I'm going to say this, people are going to get instantly triggered. I can see XRP doing very well eventually. The stablecoin thing's interesting. I can see them actually being the US player to ensure, very ironically, given everything that's gone on, that the US remain at the forefront of this technological advancement and the kind of remittance markets and the digitization of things. But I am actually going to be doing a longer video on that. I wanted to cover this with you guys. So the halving took place on 420. It was programmed, that's for sure. And since then, what's happened is the new supply of Bitcoin, so i.e. the Bitcoin that's mined and the rewards that are given as a result of that, are cut in half. And it's always interesting when, the sector that I'm most interested in crypto probably right now is compute, decentralized compute. And I'll get something on that done. So welcome to a new paradigm. Bitcoin electricity cost is now a whopping $77,000. Meaning Bitcoin is essentially, depending on who's mining it and if they are paying that, mined at a loss right now. This is the raw electricity cost to power the network per Bitcoin mined. So that's an aggregate, I would say. Bitcoin miner price hit $244,000 on Saturday. This is the block reward fees per Bitcoin mined. It boomed as transaction fees hit $230, about 4x the prior all-time high of $68 in 2021. This means Bitcoin is trading at a deep discount. Price under electrical costs typically lasts just a couple of days every 4 years. This means one of 3 things happen. Price skyrockets, 15% of miners shut down, transactions fees remain a lot higher on average. Expect a bit of all of this. Bitcoin's days under 100,000 are limited. And we agree. And you've got to remember what drives the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory that just happens to line up with global liquidity theories. And I actually, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Raoul, I like his sort of everything theory because there is overlap there. And of course, we know there's overlap with crypto in the kind of broader markets. And you can see we've had the halvening. Usually the bulk of the bull market takes place after. I think we're very much setting up in a similar fashion. It's going to be an amazing 2024, 2025, and you want to be in the right sector. Again, the sector that I'm probably most interested in is decentralized compute and AI. When it comes to crypto, we've got a lot of small altcoins that we think are going to do very well. Do become a Patreon and find out. I will be talking about it a lot more publicly on the channel. We're going to be starting that 1 to 100K portfolio. I think 1K is a reasonable amount for most people in regards to affordability. And just to show people just how big of an opportunity there is in crypto and that you can literally change your life. 100K for some people may not be a lot, for others, certainly off a K, it's massive, and I can't wait to sort of get that out. So if we look at the crypto space more broadly, it's just doing what we expected it to. You know, we're expecting this to form a right shoulder. This is going to see crypto run to $3.7 trillion. If we look at Bitcoin, still consolidating, again, with the fundamental narrative that's surrounding it. You are seeing outflows in regards to certain ETFs, certain products. I think this is just a hump that will be cut, will be overcame. And ultimately, you know, you've got this seasonality to markets. May, I know it's April now, but it's typically not the best month in the world for markets. Selling may come back on St. Leger's Day. There have been studies done on general markets where you could just buy in November or going into November and just hold them and sell in May, and you'll do quite well. And sort of miss the summer periods out. Remember, the seasonality, of course, comes from Wall Street and its involvement, or certainly the London Stock Exchange and its involvement. That's where the saying comes from. But even further back from that, you had seasonality with markets when it was mainly agricultural. People know there's a time to plant and they know there's a time to sort of reward or harvest. And markets are kind of similar or follow that seasonality. So no real worries about Bitcoin technically or the total market cap. It's just a case of we know what's plaguing markets. Some of what's plaguing markets we're going to get a little bit of clarity on in regards to Friday with core PCE. This has continued to downtrend. This is one of the Fed's preferred metrics. I think it could have come out a little bit lower than 2.7. I generally don't think inflation is an issue like everyone has made it out to be. I did get a lot of comments yesterday saying, well, look in the supermarkets. Okay, there's a number of factors involved with that. Have prices, so yes, inflation, it's been evident. It was where it was, and just because it's down at 3.5 doesn't mean that's not inflation. We live in an inflationary environment right now, but it's come down significantly. I'm not that worried about inflation from a number of commodity points of view. You know, we looked at wheat the other day, natural gas at a 30-year low. I mean, he's having a bit of a bounce. I'm not that worried about inflation at all in regards to in the context that we're looking at it. Yes, you are paying high bills at the shops. Your oil's gone up, but this is kind of how living in a world where they proliferate the money supply goes. You know, money just goes up and up and up. It's why your grandparents bought their house for a couple of thousand. Now it's worth hundreds of thousands. You know, and it gets devalued. Your wage doesn't move in the same manner. So inflation is an issue, yeah, sure, for consumers in supermarkets and all that, but it's not really that much of an issue when you look at it in the context of how we're looking at it. So we've got that coming on Friday, and we've got earnings season. This is going to be very interesting, very volatile. Markets could be a little bit of them selling off into this. You've got General Electric, General Motors today, Spotify, Tesla, Visa. Then tomorrow you've got the likes of Boeing, CME Group, Ford, Facebook, Meta, ServiceNow. Thursday you've got Google, Microsoft, so on and so forth. And then on Friday, you've got the likes of ExxonMobil, Chevron, and so on. So it's going to be an interesting week. It's going to be a jam-packed week. Huge win for crypto in regards to the SEC. We'll keep you up to date on a daily basis, guys. And if anything changes, you'll be the first that we let know. But generally, it's one of those kind of times where you've just got to sit on your hands, have faith in the broader plan that you have, and be able to stomach the volatility that is so inherent to the cryptocurrency space. So that's all from me, ladies and gentlemen. If you've enjoyed the content, like as always, appreciate it. So as a comment, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next.